Welcome everybody to, well, I guess this would be the raw YouTube upload of the GamerDaddy podcast. So before I get into it and before I start my laptop over here to start the episode, I don't know how long this is going to actually record for or what I can upload to YouTube. So we're going to try it out and see how it works. I'm currently recording it from my phone right now. But anyways, let's get into this. Let me get started. I've got both my computers fired up and I got my coffee right here, and we're going to see how this thing rolls out. Hopefully it's not a ton of dead air because of things like editing and stuff. But the weird part though is like I'm trying it out this way because YouTube has decided that when Acast goes to upload to it, that it's too long. It can't. There's not enough. It's like too big of a file or something like that, which is weird because when I actually upload to Acast, it has like a 150 megabyte limit. So when I render it down to MP3, it has to be 150 or less, which I get done for the most part. I've had a couple where it wouldn't upload and I didn't realize it, and then it took me a couple days, and then I realized, oh crap, it was over 150. But before we get into it, if you have been following the show and watching the show or listening to the show, you know that I do a lot of retro gaming through emulation stations and stuff like that. I wanted to, since this is a video and since I don't know how long it's going to actually let me record or what it's going to let me upload to YouTube. Oh, here's my dumb hair. I wanted to show you one of the systems I've been using. It's actually saved me a lot of time because I haven't had a ton of time to sit down and play a game at home. I've been doing a lot of spending time with my grandma because she's sick and helping her out, and there hasn't been a ton of time. And that's why the episodes have been not a regular thing. They've been very sporadic. Before the episode that came out last, I took like a month off almost, and I felt really bad about it because I know that there are people that want to listen to this. I am trying to get this podcast to be bigger, get out to more people so I can have the option of doing more things for it. But anyways, yeah, so the thing that's really saved my life is this little handheld right here. Basically, it's called a retro game. Basically, when I went online, I was like, okay, let me look for Raspberry Pi retro stations. And this is like right before I got my Super Console X, which has been a huge game changer. But I was using a Raspberry Pi 3 to do most of my gaming when I do retro gaming. And then I switched. I started looking again because there were certain limitations to the Raspberry Pi, and I saw like a lot of the newer systems had really nice like thumbnail art and stuff like that. Stuff that I don't know how to actually get into the system and do and update. Man, I'm hoping this lighting issue isn't a thing because it seems like it's flashing in and out on my phone. So sorry about that. Downside to recording with the overhead halogen lights. Anyways, there we go. It must be tracking me or something like that. But anyways, in the process of searching for my Super Console X, because there was another one that I almost got, it was like the something 14,000. And that one had a lot of really cool artwork. And then I found the Super Console X, and that one, I was just like, no, this one has great artwork on it. It's got 41,000 games. Like, I'm sold. The cool thing about this is it's a 3001. It mostly supports either handheld, like limited handheld, so Neo Geo, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, and then Sega, Super Nintendo, Sega Game Gear, and then maybe the 3-in-1 systems. I don't know. I think it also covers the Jaguar and the NES and stuff. But anyways, the cool part about this is it's got a cartridge that's got a little memory stick in it that holds all the games on it. But one reason I got this to begin with was the cool thing about this is yes, it has 3,000 games uploaded in it, but it also has the ability through the cartridge slot to play Game Boy, Game Boy Advanced, and Game Boy Color games on it, which is pretty awesome. Plus, I have the option of through AV. It's got a little AV out port. There's one port, but the AV out is right next to it. It's a little hard to see. There it is. See there's a little AV out port on there. I can hook. It comes with a that port. Actually, I can use it as a headphone jack. Oh wait, no, I don't. I can't. There's a headphone jack under it. Anyway, sorry. You can plug that into like an older TV and play the games on an older TV with the AV in and out. It's a red and yellow. Oh no, it's a red and white. It's red and yellow. Yeah. Anyways, I think I want to get a one that's a longer cord because this one's a little short, so you kind of got to play right next to it. But it's pretty awesome. I think the extension 1 cord is for like for higher def TVs, because you have the option of switching from like doing on an old school TV that runs AV, and also newer like higher def TV. You have the option between both, and you set those up on the system in the settings, which is kind of cool. But anyways, I've been using that to kind of save me some time. And that's been about it. We'll get into the podcast now. So let me get this thing started, and we'll get going. Let me get another drink. I'm nervous. I always get the nerves every time I start after taking a break from podcasting. It's really hard. Also, unfortunately, there won't be any music in this video. Still work in progress, but there will be. There's Facebook. There will be music in the podcast, so if this thing doesn't let me record or upload the whole thing, as this is the disclaimer, go to Acast, look up GamerDaddy under shows, and you'll be able to listen to the episode. Let me check real quick so I can give you an appropriate timestamp or episode stamp of what the actual episode is going to be, because I don't remember. Oh yeah, so it'll be season 2, episode 20 will be the actual episode on Acast. It would be nice if you did lend me some support and actually listen to my other episodes. So we'll see how this goes on YouTube and wherever else I can put it up to. Let me get this thing started up. Welcome everybody to another episode of GamerDaddy. I'm also live recording on my phone right now so that I can upload to YouTube. It's kind of a raw episode, so there's going to be no pausing, no editing, kind of stuff that I do on the fly as I record the podcast. But I'm going to make it work. So before we get into today's game, which I know that both YouTube and Facebook and whoever else I can upload this to is excited to know what the game is. The platform is all excited to know what the game is. Everyone who listens to me is excited because I'm such an energetic person. But before we get into the game, a little bit of an update. I am actually a week behind. Again, my releases have been pretty sporadic. It's been hard to get time to actually release an episode weekly, and I'm really working on it, but with how things are going with my grandma, and then also inability to play games because of trying to take care of my grandma. Even though I do have a handheld that does help out a lot, really the only thing I've had time to actually play is mobile. And I wanted to get into that before I actually started this week's game, because it has been pretty fun. A coffee break. So if you didn't know by my cup that my buddy Jared got for me, he has been on the podcast a couple times, best friend, my best friend in the entire world. I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, partially a fan of the GT. The story was okay. Anyways, so I'm looking on the App Store because I'm trying to find games to play in between playing retro games because I don't always have time to play retro games at the moment, which kind of sucks because I run a retro gaming podcast. But I give up. I'm like, crap, I can't find anything that's interesting. Go on YouTube, watching videos on. I can't remember what the video I was watching. Damn lights are going out again. Anyways, start going to watch this video, see this ad for a game, Dragon Ball Z game, and I'm like, I'm gonna check this out because I have already played like, man, I spent like 2 years playing a Dragon Ball Z RPG mobile game, not Legends, not Dokkan Battle, a different game. Ended up like losing my login for that game, so I couldn't get back on, couldn't play, which sucked because I was like, I was actually kind of getting tired because the game was going through server mergers, and it went through one, and then I finally got to the point where I was number one on the server, and I was number one on the server for like 3 to 4 months, and it was really fun, really cool. They did another server merger, and everything, your team is based, like your team's abilities and skills are like create what the power level for your team is. And like, I think I was like in the like 90 millions or something like that. My team was so strong. And or it might've been like the 100 millions. I don't remember. 500 million, something like that. Anyways, they do another server merger and it brings in like 70 new players from this other server, which is fine. It was fun. I log on the next day and I'm like number 27, and almost everybody in the server that they merged from has like over 1 billion power level for their team. And I was like, oh crap. So fast forward a year from that time, and not being on the game, I find this new game. It's called Final Strike Destruction. It's a Dragon Ball mobile game. It's not an ad, by the way. I can't put in any of my own ads, but this is me talking about my experience with this game because I've been playing it for the past 3 or 4 days. Really enjoyed it. Very fun. Final Strike Destruction is a Dragon Ball game that starts off after Frieza blows up the Earth on Resurrection F. And instead of Whis bringing you back in time 3 minutes before, he brings you back to the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. All your powers are gone, blah, blah, blah. The thing I really liked about this game, and it is a stage-by-stage 6-person battle. So, like, you go into battle, you have your 6 team members. In the beginning of the game, you have 4. You have your 6 team members, and they run through the tutorial, and then you are left to your own. And there's so many different facets, events, blah, 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 that you can go through. It is sometimes worth spending a little bit of money. I remember my second day in, they were running a promotion for a level, like a 6-star Super Saiyan Blue Goku. And I spent $4 and I got him, and it made the game way fun. Now, I'm kind of like, when I got that, I played another day and I was rolling like Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, Super Saiyan Blue Goku, Whis, and Jiren. And now my team consists of Super Saiyan Blue Goku, Ultra Instinct Goku, or Omen, Ultra Instinct Omen, Goku, and Jiren, Trunks from the Goku Black Saga, and God of Destruction Topo. Game is incredibly fun. It has a competitive 6-on-6 tournament. Yeah, I don't know. Had a lot of fun on the game, and it's been taking away a lot of my retro gaming time. So I figured I'd bring it up because it is very fun. So if you get a chance, look it up on Google Play, or they might have it on Apple, but it's Final Strike Destruction. Get on there. I'm in server 633, and my name on there, along with every other mobile game I ever play, is Butts, Buttz. So yeah, check it out. It's a very fun game, and let's get into this week's game. Or I gotta quit saying this week, because it's not like I'm playing the same game. I start a game at the beginning of the week and play it. I kind of just start a game whenever I finish a game. So, and I haven't finished this game, so which kind of sucks because this game is really fun. But The game today we're getting into is Shining Soul. Shining Soul is an action role-playing game for the Game Boy Advance. It is part of the Shining series. Shining Soul is a reboot of the Shining series. The game was followed by a sequel, Shining Soul 2, in 2003. Both games were re-released in Japan in early 2006 as part of the Game Boy Advance Value Selection. I have a pretty big experience with the Shining series. I got a flashback pack for my computer back in like 99, 2000. That had it was a Sega flashback, and it had a bunch of games on it like Sonic 1 and 2, Comic Zone, Shining Force 2. They re-released it a bunch of times, but those like few games have like held true to my heart a lot, especially Shining Soul, or Shining Force, the original, because and the weird part about this flashback is if you try to play the second one, it would still play the first one. So anyways, these games are like a strategy-based RPG. You get so many units, and the enemy, you go on the field and blah, blah, blah. If you've played a strategy game, you know, like your units. But the cool thing about it is like each unit, as they attack, they gain so much experience, like most strategy games. The story is fun. The gameplay is fun, but this game differs greatly, and we'll get into that shortly. The game takes place in the land of Rune. The originals take place in Runefast, where a creature named Dark Dragon has gathered an army of darkness in an attempt to bring about the destruction of the world. Your character is a hero of the Shining Fleet, which has trapped Dark Dragon and its 5 generals in the region of Runefast and is now preparing to make a final assault on the enemy forces. So the game, it contains 4 main classes: Warrior, Archer, Dragonaut, and Wizard. I've only played as the Warrior. It's the most balanced. It's normally always the most balanced class to play as. So it just makes the game easy. I do kind of want to play as the Archer or the Dragonaut or the Wizard because, like, with games like this, you still get items dropped. You get items dropped for those classes, and you can't use them unless you are those classes. So, like, you'll get spell books and stuff. Main classes in several dungeons that involve hack and slash style fighting. The player can cycle between magic and weapons based attacks as you progress through the game and gain levels. You are able to allocate points from your main stats like strength and dexterity, as well as distribute skill points. Skill points allow you to raise your weapon and magic proficiency levels and to raise the level of other abilities that are class specific, such as defense for the warrior, critical hits for the archer, and so on. And like realistically for me on my playthrough, I think I'm like a level 17 or 18. I've been focusing mostly on my sword skill. I have 2 other weapons equipped that I can cycle through with the trigger buttons, but it's a sword, spear, and axe. But I've only used the sword because it's warrior specific. I think the Dragonaut is mostly either javelin or axe, and then the wizard probably uses staffs, what I would guess, or spell books. But anyways, as the warrior, you get very limited like things, so you are stuck to mostly physical attacks, and then you get a charge attack depending on how much you've upgraded your skill slot for the sword dictates how many attacks you do in that charge attack. I've done it a bunch of times. It's not always guaranteed to work. You miss a lot depending on whether, the automated roll system that they have in it, because even if it is a hack and slash, there's an automated, like, based on your stats roll. So like their dexterity versus your attack or your dexterity or whatever. I don't really know how it works, but that's the mechanic in the game. So you miss a lot. So sometimes if the enemy is a little bit stronger than you and you go to do the charge attack to run through them, you miss them a bunch. And it actually doesn't make it worth it because you have to wait for it to recharge back up, or you have to. No, you don't have to do that. Sorry, you have to like get away from them and recharge it again, and it does take time depending on how many skill slots you have. Being at only on level 4 or stage 4, dungeon 4, I'm not fully through the game because there are, I think, 7 levels in it, which each continually increase in how many dungeon floors you have to go through. So, like, I think it's the first level you only have to go through 3 before. It's like 3 or 4 before you get to the boss, and then now in this new one, level 4 or dungeon 4, you have to go like 15 down, I think it is, or 10 down, something like that. And basically the way the game plays is it's hack and slash, so there's a lot of horde style, so it's a big open environment that you can run through for the map, but it does, as you progress into a new area, you'll get more enemies that run out, that just appear out of nowhere, whereas you're walking, an enemy will just like phase in. Time to pause the podcast so I can get more information on the game. So let me cut that out here. Time to pause the. Okay, there we go. Cut that out. Actually, I'm going to need to pause this real quick. I had to pause because I am currently actually just recording in my office at work, and my boss showed up. So it is my day off. It is a Saturday, but still need to be respectful to my boss. So anyways, I might cut that out. I don't know yet. This is a raw cut. So okay, so one thing we're going to get into, and I'm about to start the podcast up, is the bosses you get into in the stage areas. So if it'll load. There we go. Fandom, the lifesaver. I probably should take more notes as a person who does something like this, but I don't have time to, so I don't. Here we go. Into the next part of the podcast. We are 12 minutes and 37 seconds down. And actually, on the live record, we're already 22 minutes in. So let me get through this, and we'll see if this is where I'm going to stop the live feed. Okay, so I've paused and come back. Probably looks weird on the YouTube because I just spent like 15 minutes talking, but whatever. So I've decided I'm going to get into the villain stages of the game, talk about my experience with the villains. Beast King is a creature in the service of the Dark Dragon. He is the first area's boss and Shining Soul, and is displeased with the player having killed his fellow beast. He engages in battle and attacks by curling himself into a sphere and rolling around in straight lines. He also fires blasts out of the snakes on his head, and when running low on HP after he is slain, he expresses his disbelief in his beating and how he wants to crush mortals as he hates them. Okay, so the Beast King, he does the roll around attack a lot, and you kind of have to wait until he stops and run up to him and just kind of spam the attack button. After a certain point, he does start shooting these white fireballs out that kind of hone in on you. But if you have bought enough healing items, and I think I was level 7 when I went in and encountered him. I made sure to level up a couple times before I did. He's kind of easy. You just kind of fill, like, I found the key to this game is you kind of just fill your inventory up with healing items you can buy that you can afford, and then you just keep attack, and then spamming. You can you can hurt the Beast King while he is rolling, but it is very hard, and he has to be in the kind of stationary position of his roll, and then you kind of have to wait for him to get out of it to go, like I said earlier, to run up and attack. Yeah, basic strategy I found for it is to just have as many healing items as you can have, and go in and attack him as much as you can. And cut the dramatic pause out of that. Okay, and we're going to move on to the next one. Like I said, I'm only 4 stages in, so we'll see how this goes. It appears that the second boss is the Colossus. I guess that's what it's called. Oh yeah, I remember this one. And in the second stage, you run into a boss called the Colossus. I think the second stage, like I said, has 7 or 8 floors to it before you get to the boss. This boss was a little different. So let me get into the information on this boss. I probably should update Shining Wiki because I've played through these battles. The Colossus is the boss of the Labyrinth of Death, a huge mechanical construct. He comes out from the floor with his head and takes jabs at the player with his hands while firing laser eyes at the player. Its main face is the weak point, and after enough hits, its sphere in its head comes out and rolls around trying to nail the player. After enough hits to the sphere, it blows, and the Colossus falls back into where it came from. So basically, if you're watching this on YouTube, the Colossus has an attack where it shoots a line of fire on one side of the screen. So if you're on that side of the screen, it goes all the way across and hits you. And then it does like slam attacks with its arms, maybe even I can't remember if it does a swipe attack. But anyways, basically you're avoiding the arms and just attacking the face. The sphere comes out and it rolls like the DVD symbol, and you're trying to avoid it. Never hits the corners, by the way. But basically you kind of run up as it's coming by you and you attack it, and it blows up. And by that point, you have killed it. It's actually one of the easiest bosses in the game to kill. Yeah, like the thing I found is, like, as long as you have enough healing items and you've updated your weapon and armor, you're going to be fine. Most of the armor that's good in the game, you actually, for your class, you actually find in the dungeons. I've never actually bought armor from the merchant. I've mostly bought healing items. One thing that is really cool about this game that I forgot to mention when I was talking about gameplay, it sucks at the same time, because if you die in a dungeon, you lose like all your items, all your money. So I've gotten into the habit while playing this game to have at least one angel feather with me, which transports you back to the town, and then you can go back to the angels and talk to them, and it transports you back to that one location. It's kind of like the town portal in Diablo. Puts you back in the same location you were at. So anyways, running low on items, want to see if there's a new weapon. You want to identify a weapon that you found, because maybe it's one for your class or equipment. Use the angel feather. They bring you back to town. I found what saves my ass, or my butt most of the time, is I'll go to, and it's right next to the item merchant, it's the bank, and you can store items, but you can actually store your money. So all my like 500, or I think it's the healing items that heal 300 plus, or when I get mithril or things like that, I put it in there until I've got enough for what I need, and then I go pull it out. Whoa. Oh, okay. He looks way... So, looking at this on fandom, I was like, I saw Shining Force 3, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not the enemy I found in the game. And then I look down, and I see the screenshot from the game I'm playing, and I was like, okay, never mind, that's it right there. So, in Shining Soul, he's one of the 5 generals of darkness working for the Dark Dragon. He does not pledge his true loyalty to the Dark Dragon and wants to rule all creatures. He fires blasts of flame out of himself in all directions that burst after a set distance, but they can be avoided by standing between them. He also teleports around and has other attacks suck as firing horizontal lasers, and launches 4 shots that hone in on the player but can be avoided. After the final blow is struck, he falls, claiming to be master and that deities will worship him. So basically in Shining Soul, so his name is Bullzome, but in the first screenshot, he looks super awesome. Shining Soul, he basically kind of looks like a little dragon statue. Doesn't have a whole lot of animation besides his attacks. Basically dragon with wings out. he kind of hops around as he looks like a chess piece almost. And then the irritating part about the battle is he does teleport. So when he teleports, you have to run and find him. And then he kind of has a minute where he waits and then he starts attacking. So yeah, rinse and repeat the old system. Buy as many health items as you can, update your weapons, and go attack him. This battle wasn't so bad. I just spit everywhere. Oops. This battle wasn't so bad, but the teleportation was kind of annoying, and did make it a little challenging. Okay, so now we're getting into unexplored territory for me. So this is new. The boss for this next stage, the one I'm on, is called Michaela. Let me get some coffee for this one. Michaela is a powerful wizardess and prophet, Dark Souls' foremost disciple, and the principal antagonist of the Shining Force Guide and Final Conflict. 2 boss fights in the Shining Force 1, and one fight in Shining Force Guide and Final Conflict are against dolls of Michaela. Michaela is in the first game, and Michaela wears like a mask the entire time. I thought he was kind of, I guess it's a she, but I thought they were kind of a jerk. Michaela herself also appears as a boss in Final Conflict. An alternate universe version of Michaela appears in Shining Soul. Let me see if I can find information. Yeah, so there's no stats on this page for her. I would assume that she does fire magic. Oh wait, here we go. Michaela is capable of creating dolls of herself and imbuing them with portions of her own power. These dolls are often almost indistinguishable from the real thing. Yeah, that doesn't explain much. Sorry, guys. Feel like I let you down on that one. Next one is Iom. IOM. Iom is invincible until Nyx strikes the first blow with the sword of Hagia. Then he can be hurt by other attacks. So in Shining Soul, he is one of the 5 generals of darkness, serving the Dark Dragon, obviously. He can smell mortal blood and wants it as wine. He fights by firing a beam of rings down the center of the screen and blasting white skull attacks in 3 directions. He also summons 2 enemies who respawn and chase you. He also has an aura blast surrounding him that damages you if you get too close. After being defeated, he says that his blood has fallen to the earth, and when the world is engulfed in darkness, the blood will summon his body and revive it. He kind of looks essentially like, let me see if I can zoom in and explain this better. He essentially looks kind of like Death. Oh, here we go. Is it going to do it? Yeah. So basically he looks like a mixture between kind of like Death. He's got horns, one eye. Well, not Death. He doesn't look like a skeleton. He's got 4 demon wings, 2 skeleton arms. That's why I thought he was Death. He's got like this gaping maw in the center of his chest. He doesn't have legs. He's kind of like sucked into the ground, a part of the ground. I think he probably is a stationary boss. And he's got this weird purple head with 2 horns, 1 eye, and like octopus teeth. He kind of looks like an octopus face with horns if it had one eye. Kind of sad I'm not going to experience this boss for the podcast. I'm going to experience after, but that's just kind of the thing that happens when you don't have time to do it. You still have to do your awesome secondary podcasting job you don't get paid for. Next boss that you run into is called Xeon. Girl from the 21st. I don't remember what it is. Xeon is the main. Okay, so they're the main antagonists in Shining Force 2. King of Devils, sealed at the ground seal of Garnaseal. Let me see. In Shining Soul. Okay, so it looks like in Shining Soul it's just a big hairy face. Like it's got a hairy aura that floats around it and has like a demon, like a hag demon type face. Looks like an old lady, basically. Just her head, a gigantic version of an old lady head, hair floating in the wind, and just trying to bite you, I guess. Or So he's working for Dark Soul, obviously, for the Dark Dragon, and is encountered in Deal Waterway. He says he is surprised the player made it this far, uh, and admits to underestimating the player. He vows not to be defeated, and fall behind Dark Soul and begins the fight. He attacks by ducking in and out of the water pools like a whack-a-mole game, and releases poison in either a blast or a four-way shot from him. He also takes swipes at the player when close enough. He can't be touched underwater, but when he comes up, he is vulnerable. At times, he leaves the arena and swims around the stone platform before returning to the fight. After the final blow is struck, he expresses disbelief that he could be beat by someone like the player. He says he'd never accept it and says he'll wait for Dark Soul at the bottom of the earth. So basically, apparently, there's pools in the stage that he goes in and out of. I assume it's just kind of the head that pops out, and maybe they have a sprite of the arm swiping across. But for how limited the game was and how limited the graphics were for Game Boy Advanced, I can't see it being anything too crazy. On to the next one. Dark Soul. Now, I played Shining Into the Darkness, which is the very first Shining game for the Sega. That's before Shining Soul 1. It's a like a first-person dungeon crawler. So, like, there's no real... Everything is, like, text-based until you get into the dungeon. Then it's, like, whoever your party is. Everything's text-based. You get into the dungeon, you explore around. Anyways, playing through the game, I got to Dark Soul. He's the second to last boss because always Dark Soul is the one that is reviving the Dark Dragon and trying to create chaos for the Dark Dragon to ensue or whatever. Always a hard boss, like legitimately always a super hard boss. Uses a lot of magic attacks that do a lot of damage to multiple characters. Never got to him in actual Shining Soul, and I probably should have, but yeah. We'll see what it says here. Dark Soul is one of the three Devil Kings and appears in the game Shining Force, The Legacy of Great Intention, Shining Force Resurrection of the Dark Dragon, Shining Force Gaiden Final Conflict, Shining Soul, and Shining Force 3 Premium Disc. Wow, Premium Disc. Trying to see if I can see the sprite of him on Shining Soul. Oh, that's cool. So he actually is a little sprite in Shining Soul. So let's get... let's see if we can find Shining Soul on here. Okay, so Dark Soul is stationary on the battlefield and attacks with Demon Blaze when an opponent is within 3 squares of him. The attack can do heavy damage in a cross pattern, so be sure to keep your... Okay, no, that's for the other game. What the hell? Why does... Okay, pausing the podcast. Okay, so... Man, that pisses me off. So... Don't know. I don't know. Let me get some of this out of here, because... why does... Doing it raw. Why'd I have such a... let's see if we can find Shining Soul on here. See where this goes. Wow, Premium Disc. Trying to see if I can see the sprite of him on Shining Soul. Oh, that's cool. So he actually is a little sprite in Shining Soul. So let's get, let's see if we can find Shining. We're going to stop right there. He has a little sprite in Shining Soul. That sounds good to me. Oh my god, I recorded like 5 minutes of crap after that. And we're gonna just give our best guess here. Run this again real quick.
So he actually is a little sprite in Shining Soul.
So we had to pause again because unfortunately the WikiHow, not the WikiHow, the fandom community, they don't have a whole lot of him for Shining Soul. Because you don't have allies in Shining Soul. But anyway, so I'm assuming that because it's his character, he's a dark magician, like in Yu-Gi-Oh! He uses magic attacks. He has a little sprite, so I would assume he either teleports around or chases you around and shoots like fireballs at you. But I can't, or like electricity at you, but I can't see him like doing a ton of physical swiping attacks at you. It just doesn't make sense for his character type. Damn it. Go back here. Son of a bee. I hate when stuff doesn't work out right. And it's weird because I always seem to like run into at least one issue like this recording a podcast because it doesn't it just doesn't make it always easy for me. So making excuses. Yeah, that's what I like doing for the podcast. Okay. Woo! Okay, so in Shining Soul, the Dark Dragon is a gigantic skull-faced, three-headed dragon. Each of its feet have 3 feet attached to them. So I assume you attack the legs, but let's look at this. In here, he is the final boss of the game and in charge of all the previous bosses, which have been ruining the land. He attacks with 3 heads that can be blown off with enough damage, but regenerate if the remaining heads are not taken out soon enough. The left head shoots ice, the right head shoots fire, while the center uses lightning-based attacks. The 3 heads can also slam on the ground to do damage, but are in range to attack depending on your character. Some classes like Archer can do damage to the heads from a distance, but need to be lined up right after blowing off all 3 heads. He says he can't be destroyed and is sealed away by the Chaos Breaker vowing to return. Let's see what the hell the Chaos Breaker is. Because I don't know. Like I said before, I haven't hit this point in the game. Aha! So the Chaos Breaker, known as many other things, is or was also last known as the Force Sword in the original game, is the main character's ultimate weapon created to defeat the Devil King and the Dark Dragon in all the games. So I don't know what it looks like in Shining Soul. I would assume that it's different. Well, actually, realistically, I would assume in Shining Soul, since like you can see the animation of your guy attacking, the blade is just green instead of silver. Okay, so that's it for game information. There's not a whole lot to this game. It's a very simple game, very fun. I did read in here that some of the information on the characters, like the classes are based off of certain characters in the game, like the mage is based off of Henri, which is a fire mage. The breaker, or the Dragonaut, which is the lance guy, is based off of he's like a steam knight in the game. I can't remember what his name is, but he uses a lance and he's like a mole or an armadillo in a robot suit, basically like steam powered robot suit. And the archer is based off of the character Hans. You do have the ability, after you select your name for your character, which mine was Butts, you have the ability to change your color palette and stuff like that, which is kind of fun. But with that being said, it is still very limited. The only thing I didn't like... before I get into that, there was this weird thing, like, as you beat the stage, Hanzo, the ninja, he appears, and, like, when you talk to him, when you catch him, because he's, like, doing stuff around the stage, like he's either disappearing or like floating through the stage or whatever. When you talk to him, he gives you an item then disappears. One thing I didn't like about this game, and this is going to be my final thought on the game, or with my final thought on the game. The thing I didn't like about the game is you encounter a blacksmith later in the game. He tells you to bring him 3 of the same material, and he'll forge you a weapon. The weapon, or forge you an item. The item is dependent on how he feels. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can cheat my way around this because I can save state. I'm emulating it. It's cool. So I save before I actually make the choice, and I bring him 3 mithril. And I ended up having to stop when he made me a mithril helmet, or it might have been a mithril mail, because I went through the thing like 5 or 6. No, I must have gone through about 25 times, loading, reloading, loading, reloading. And he kept giving me stuff I didn't use for my class, like Storm Trident or Mithril Wizard's Hat or something like that. Just stuff I couldn't use. Like the thing I was banking on getting the most was a Mithril Sword or like a magic sword that I could actually use. But none of the items let me, none of them let me do it. So I was kind of pissed. Like I said, I did try it about 20 times and it didn't work. It just decided it wanted to give me something that I didn't need. Anyways, with that being said, I am going to continue playing it throughout the weekend because it is a fun game. I do want to beat it. I do want to see what the animation for the last sword is, all this other stuff, and I will be back on the next podcast to talk about it and the rest of my experience. But for halfway through the game, I'm very pleased. It is very fun. It doesn't really get very tiring. Yeah, it's all in all a fun game. So if you have a chance to play it, it's Shining Soul on the Game Boy Advanced. I give it so far a 10 out of 10, but we'll see about it on the next one. And I think the next game I'm going to play, I might finish Summon Night if I can, but it might be between Shining Soul 2, because I have the sequel also, and Riviera. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you on the next Gamer Daddy. Bye, guys. Woo! Gonna stop this. Bye, guys. Before I stop, like, subscribe. I'm gonna try to keep getting content out as much as I can. Get a better system for this out, and I do have a TikTok. GamerDaddypod on TikTok. And you, as always, you can find me on Acast, Spotify, and a lot of other services. Like any podcasting service, except for like the very, very new ones, you can find me. Not on Stitcher, because Stitcher was being a jerk. So, yeah, look for me, GamerDaddy Podcast. And, yeah, it'll be the same icon as the YouTube channel. So we'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye. By the way, thanks for dealing with my bull crap with the raw episode. I hope you enjoyed it.